Austin glows the way it does after a cold front. The live oaks glossy, the sky rinsed clean, the house holding its breath. I light the last candle and smooth the table runner. David rings the bell exactly at 7. He's 35 and looks 12 when he's happy. He's happy now. Too happy. Behind him, the woman from his breathless phone calls steps into my doorway like a well-aimed promise. "Mrs. Thompson," she says, taking both my hands, "I am Camille." Her accent is warm butter over sharp knives. Petite, elegant, the kind of beauty that photographs even in bad lighting. Cashmere coat that isn't trying, pearls that definitely are. "Welcome," I say. "Come in." We pass the gallery of family frames. She doesn't just look, she reads. "Your husband?" she asks, pausing at Robert's photograph, his shoulders square in a suit he hated. I tell her yes, a careful man, gone 3 winters now. She touches the frame as if blessing a stranger's grave. In the kitchen, I carve, plate, pour. In the dining room, she eases into our lives like she practiced the choreography. Chair angled toward David, napkin folded once, eyes that find mine when she laughs. She compliments the roast, praises the glaze, tells me Leon taught her to love mustard. I almost say, "I know Leon." I swallow it instead. David says, beaming, "Mom, Camille teaches me French. It's going badly." She pats his hand. "He is endearing and very good student when he wants." We laugh, and something inside me unfolds like a paper chrysanthemum in warm water. Maybe, I think. Maybe this time. It lasts 47 minutes. David's phone vibrates. "1 second," he says, already standing. "The sight." He kisses my temple, 1, 2, and disappears down the hall. Silence settles, the kind that clarifies. I gather plates. Camille's phone rings. She answers without moving, words pouring out in quick, confident French. She assumes I can't follow. It's not an unreasonable assumption. Here's a trick about grief. It teaches you to hear everything, even the things not meant for you. "Oui, maman," she says, drifting her gaze over the mantel like she's inventorying value. "Elle est inoffensive, vieille. Elle veut son fils heureux, facile à gérer après le mariage. Harmless, old, wants her son happy, easy to manage after the marriage." I stop with a plate halfway to the dishwasher. The light in the kitchen seems to sharpen, outlining everything. The nick in the granite, the hairline crack in the backsplash, the place where smoke once stained the hood when Robert forgot the salmon. She continues, "La maison est plus grande que la décrit. Il y a des actifs familiaux. Le père a laissé très confortable. There are family assets. The father left them very comfortable." A laugh. "Pleasant, trained. Ne t'inquiète pas. J'ai commencé l'héritage. Les Américains sont sentimentaux avec la legacy. 2 ans pour la carte verte, puis divorce, retour à Paris avec citoyenneté et argent. Parfait. Don't worry. Inheritance angle. 2 years, green card, divorce, Paris, money." The plate slides from my fingers and smashes on the tile like a starter pistol. Camille is in the doorway by the last echo, pupils pinned tight and then wide with concern. "Mrs. Thompson?" I kneel. My hands move by themselves. They've cleaned up worse. "Clumsy, these old hands," I say. "Please," she says, gliding over, gathering porcelain with the gentleness of a penitent. "Let me." She is very good. Not the cooking or the storytelling. Anyone can learn those. She's good at the performance of goodness. Sleeves pushed to wrist, chin tucked in apology, eyes that glisten without tears. If I hadn't lived 4 years in Lyon as an au pair, and French hadn't lived in my bones like a former religion, I might have believed her. David returns buzzing from his call. He sees us side by side on the floor and looks like Christmas morning. Look at you two, already ganging up on me. Your mother is wonderful, she answers, rising first, offering me her hand like a daughter. I am lucky. Coffee in the living room. Her accent draws the room closer. She tells a story about a careful teacher father in Marseille and a mother in local government who loves roses. She paints a childhood with chipped plates and big dreams. She tosses in just enough tragedy, cruel bosses, cold apartments, the famous French winter that freezes ambition, then warms it with the American miracle. With David, I feel safe, she confides, and watches the words bloom in my son's face. Tell Mom about visas, David says, proud of his administrative mother. She knows bureaucracy. A flicker crosses Camille's eyes. There and gone. Tourist visa for now. No rush. We have time. We have time, my careful husband used to say, working late on long-term securities. He was wrong about that, and right about everything else. When they finally leave, I stand at the front window and watch my son bend his head to a promise that isn't one. She says something that makes him laugh. He glows. The porch light paints her hair gold. The house exhales. I don't. I take the key to Robert's study from its hook. 40 years live in there. Ledgers, files, passwords that only sensible men invent. I sit in his chair and open drawers until the paper cuts find me. The numbers are clean and humble, and exactly the kind of numbers a predator can smell through walls. The house appraised at just under 800, 2 acres in a pocket of Austin that refuses to stop rising, retirement accounts that don't flaunt but don't apologize, life insurance folded into binders with tabs. We were never ostentatious, we were comfortable. Comfortable is a bullseye.
By dawn, I've made 2 decisions. 1, I will not tell David. Not yet. I could play the jealous mother better than most women my age. Tight mouth, loose judgment, and it would drive him to her like a dare. 2, I will find out exactly who this woman is. The internet is a soft knife, if you know where to hold the blade. I start with the obvious. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Her presence is curated like a museum. 18 months of sunlight, no dust. The French photos are postcards anyone could have taken. Her LinkedIn lists hospitality management with companies that exist only on websites built in the last quarter. Her colleagues do not exist at all. My phone buzzes. Morning, Mom, David says. He's bright and contrite. Camille can't stop talking about you. I'll try to survive the flattery. I'm thinking Christmas, he blurts. Proposal. Maybe at your place? Classic. Christmas is 2 months away. I look at the framed picture on my desk, my grandmother's hand on a pie, the ring flashing like it knows about future daughters-in-law, and my stomach knots. That's soon, I say. When you know, you know. Do you know her parents, I ask. In France? We do video calls, traditional folks. They want to meet before anything official. They're visiting next month. Of course they are. The con demands witnesses with good perfume and stories from the right region. I'll brush up on my French, I say. I'd hate to be impolite. After we hang up, I call Claire, my sister's youngest, State Department, the only person in the family who knows exactly how messy the inside of a clean system can be. We meet at a cafe where the light is flattering and the food is honest. I can't run a file, she says, eyes watchful, but I can tell you what red flags look like. I tell her everything. The French phone call, the timeline, the social media that looks like a stage set. She listens without interrupting, the way women who have learned the cost of interruption do. When she finishes, she scrolls to a government checklist and sets the phone between us. We see this pattern all the time, she says softly. The sophistication varies, the timeline doesn't. How do you stop it? You don't always. Sometimes you slow it down. Sometimes you document it so that when it explodes, the blast radius is smaller. Document, I repeat, like the word might turn into a shield. How? She slides a card across the table. Marcus Webb. Backgrounds, quiet, ethical enough to not scare you, ruthless enough to help you. The man who arrives at my kitchen table 2 days later does not look ruthless. He looks like taxes. He drinks coffee the way decent men do, black, without an argument. The best investigations, he says, opening a manila folder, are the ones no one notices. He begins with what anyone could find, and then with what anyone could miss. The rental she listed upon arrival, short term, vacated 6 weeks later, right when she met my son. The hotel she claims to have worked for in Paris, closed 3 years. The references, routed to pre-recorded messages. He fans out photos like cards. Camille at a laptop in Parisian cafes that could be stock images. A courthouse in Nevada with a different name under the same face. A small-town newspaper clipping from Colorado. Marie Fontaine marries local business owner. Both marriages under 2 years, both divorces expensive, both men, Marcus says this gently, ruined for a while. Christ, I whisper. He doesn't nod. He doesn't have to. What do we do? I ask. That depends, he says, folding his hands. Do you want to save your son, or do you want to stop her? Both? Then we plan, and we wait until the moment hurts the least and helps the most. I think about my grandmother's ring. I think about the phrase, 2 years, then divorce, said in a voice as casual as weather. I think about the way my son's face looked at the door, wide open, undefended. Her parents come next week, I tell him. Marseille, allegedly. We'll vet the actors, and we'll listen. The doorbell rings the following Thursday at 6 sharp. I smooth my dress and open the door to an elegant older couple who smell like money and winter citrus. Madame Thompson, the man says, kissing my hand with a precision that tells me he has practiced the gesture and mirrors. Enchanté. Bienvenue, I reply in French, that is deliberately rusty. Excuse-moi, it's been years.
Camille's eyes flick. Henri and Margot exchange a fast glance. Marseille slips, just a little, toward Paris. We sit, we sip, we smile, and when they believe the language is a wall, they use it. Le sel, s'il te plaît, Margot says, pass the salt. Cette nourriture américaine, Henri mutters, amused. Au moins la vin est correct. American food. At least the wine is decent. In English, they praise my roast. In French, they make appointments with their real palates. I hold both truths in my mouth without swallowing. After coffee, when David is in the kitchen carrying dessert, Camille leans in and speaks too fast, too low, too certain. Elle est inoffensive mais pas stupide, she warns them. Harmless, but not stupid. Gardez les détails cohérents, on y est presque. Keep the details consistent, we're almost there. Henri smiles. La semaine prochaine? Next week? Réveillon, she says. Christmas Eve. Demande à mariage, puis mariage au Nouvel An. Proposal, then a New Year's wedding. No one fights romance on a calendar. My son returns with slices of apple pie. The room smells like cinnamon and endings. He is practically vibrating with the secret he thinks he is keeping. Mom, he says later, helping me rinse plates, what do you think about Christmas Eve? I turn away so he won't see my face. The water runs hot, hotter. Steam clings to the window over the sink. I think that timing matters. That night, when the house is quiet and the trees make their night noises, I call Marcus and say 3 words I did not know were in me anymore. Accelerate the timeline. The world always feels sharper in December. The cold pares away excess. Every shadow has an edge. By Christmas Eve, my house looks like a holiday card. Wreath on the door, lights framing the windows, the scent of cloves and cinnamon carried by the heater. It is a stage set, and tonight, every detail is intentional. At 5:45, the doorbell rings. I expect Marcus, but when I open the door, it's a woman in her 30s with steady eyes and a professional smile. She wears a blazer that looks casual enough for dinner, but sharp enough for court. "Agent Sarah Chen," she says softly, showing me credentials before slipping them back into her purse. "Ice. Here is a friend until it's time not to be." I nod, my hands already trembling, despite the hours I've rehearsed calm. "You'll wait until after dinner?" She gives me a look that's both kind and clinical. Let her get comfortable. Then I'll move. The table is laid with my grandmother's china. A roast glistens in the oven. Christmas carols murmur from the stereo, every note a lie. At exactly 6, David's car crunches up the drive. He's out before the engine dies, circling to open Camille's door. She steps into the porch light like a woman walking onto a red carpet. Silk red dress, hair glossy, earrings that sway with practiced grace. She kisses my cheeks in the French style, leaving the faintest trace of perfume. "Mrs. Thompson, this is my favorite tradition already. Family together at Christmas." If only she knew. David is flushed, nervous. His hand strays to his jacket pocket, where the square outline of my mother's ring presses like a secret heartbeat. "Mom, thank you for making this so special." Eyes bright. Agent Chen is already seated in the living room, pretending to flip through a magazine. I've introduced her as Sarah, my neighbor's niece who had no family nearby for the holidays. Camille accepts this smoothly, though I see the flick of her eyes. Calculating, noting. She files away everything. Dinner begins like theater. David tells stories about the construction site, the men who work under him, the cold mornings. Camille listens as though every detail matters, her hand brushing his wrist, her eyes lifting to mine with admiration. "Mrs. Thompson, your roast is exquisite. The sauce, may I have the recipe? In France, my mother would be jealous." Across the table, I notice her shoulders tighten when Agent Chen casually asks, "So, how long have you been in the States?" 8 months, Camille says smoothly, sipping her wine. "Tourist visa." David helps me learn the system. There's a faintest pause. So slight, David doesn't notice. But I do. And so does Agent Chen. The dinner is flawless, conversation smooth, laughter bright. To David, this is everything he's ever wanted. A woman who sees him, a mother who approves, a table that feels whole. He doesn't see the fissures running under it all. By dessert, Camille is restless. She glances at the clock, at the door. It grows late. Perhaps we should leave before the roads freeze. The roads are dry. Her instincts are louder than her lies now. That's when Agent Chen rises, her magazine forgotten. "Actually," she says evenly, producing her badge, "before anyone leaves, I should properly introduce myself. Agent Sarah Chen, Immigration and Customs Enforcement." The air in the room changes instantly. The warmth collapses into silence, so brittle I can hear the ticking of the wall clock. Camille doesn't falter. She straightens, her charm evaporating like mist, leaving something colder, sharper. When she speaks, the French accent is gone. Her voice is flat American. I don't know what this is about. My documents are in order. David blinks, his face shifting from confusion to panic. "What? Sarah? What is this?" Agent Chen sets a folder on the table, sliding photographs across the polished wood. "The woman you know as Camille Dubois is actually Christina Marsh. Multiple identities, 7 marriages of convenience across 5 states, over $2 million in documented fraud." David stares at the photographs, wedding clippings, courthouse steps, bank transfers. His hand hovers near the ring box, then falls limp. "No, no, that's impossible. Camille, tell them it's wrong." For a heartbeat, I think she might. That she might play the role one more time, pour sweetness into his veins. But then something shifts. She laughs.
a sharp, unkind sound that doesn't belong in my house.
"Oh, David," she says, voice dripping with contempt. "You really are as stupid as I hoped." The words detonate. David flinches as though struck. "What? You think a woman like me falls in love with a man like you? Please, you are a mark, a boring, sentimental mark." She leans back, crossing her arms. "I've played the vulnerable foreign girl dozens of times. Works every single time." Her cruelty is surgical, designed to cut where it bleeds most. She turns her gaze on me. "And you, old woman? You think you've saved him? No. You've just ensured he'll never trust love again. Congratulations." Agent Chen steps forward with cuffs. "Christina Marsh, you are under arrest for immigration fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy." Christina, smiles. "Don't you want to know about the real Camille Dubois?" The room stills. "What do you mean?" Agent Chen asks. "Oh, she's real. 28, lives in Marseille, works in hospitality. I stole her life piece by piece. If your investigator has been digging, he's probably destroyed her reputation already." Christina's eyes glitter with triumph. "So, you've ruined 2 lives tonight, not 1. She lets the words hang in the room like smoke. Then Agent Chen snaps the cuffs on, leading her out the door. Silence fills the house. David sits heavily at the table, staring at nothing. His hands are empty, the ring box lying forgotten on the floor. "David," I start. He looks up, and the expression in his eyes freezes me. Not grief, not shock. Disappointment. "You knew," he says. His voice is soft, but it lands like a hammer. "You knew for weeks?" I nod. "I was trying to protect you. By lying to me, by letting me plan a proposal, bring her here, dream about her." His throat works around the words. "You should have trusted me with the truth." The hurt is raw, deeper than anything Christina could inflict. He pushes back from the table. "I need space." The door shuts behind him with quiet finality. I am left alone with untouched dessert and the sound of carolers 2 streets away. But Christina Marsh made one mistake as she was let out in cuffs. She gave me a name, a thread, the real Camille Dubois. And threads can be pulled. Austin's airport hums with its own kind of chaos, arrivals and reunions, languages mingling under fluorescent light. 2 months have passed since Christmas Eve, and still the echo of David's voice lingers. "You should have trusted me with the truth." I stand in the terminal with a sign in my hand, Camille Dubois. My handwriting looks steadier than I feel. Then she appears. Petite, scarf knotted just so, eyes that carry none of Christina's calculated glint. She pauses, scanning, until her gaze finds mine. "Mrs. Thompson?" she asks in careful English, cautious, almost shy. I lower the sign. "Yes, you're the real one." For the first time in weeks, I smile without effort. Over coffee at my kitchen table, I tell her everything. The imposter, the fraud, the arrests, the damage. Camille listens, lips pressed tight, hands gripping her cup. "She stole my life," she says finally, her accent soft but her anger sharp. "That man I loved, he betrayed me with my best friend. I wrote about it on social media, and she took it, yes?" "Yes. It feels like being robbed of your own skin." Her honesty is disarming. Where Christina performed charm, Camille lets silence exist, lets truth settle without embroidery. For 3 days, she stays in my guest room. We walk the garden, share meals, and I learn the contours of her life. Her mother's cancer treatments draining the family savings, her late nights in a Marseille hotel where guests complained more than they tipped, her love for roses inherited from her grandmother. Everything Christina had parodied is here, real, flawed, human. David doesn't speak to me much in those weeks, but when he hears Camille is in Austin, curiosity overrides anger.
On her last day, he agrees to meet her at the same coffee shop where Christina had staged their meet cute. I watch from across the street, heart in my throat. At first, they sit stiff, polite. Then something shifts. David leans forward, Camille laughs, and the wall between them softens. 2 hours pass before he drives her back to my house. While she's in the bathroom, David stands in the hall, his face unreadable. "She's nothing like her," he says quietly. "Everything that felt rehearsed with Christina, Camille's the opposite. She's real." "What does that mean?" I ask. "It means I'll drive her to the airport tomorrow. Then I'll think, carefully." Weeks later, he calls from Marseille. He's gone to see for himself. Not for romance, he insists, just to understand. But when he returns, his eyes hold something different. Not naive love, not infatuation, possibility. "I'm not ready for anything serious," he tells me, sitting across from the same table where Christina's lies unraveled. "But Camille and I will keep in touch, visit, see what grows naturally." "And us?" I ask. He studies me for a long moment. "You were right to expose her, wrong not to tell me. If we're going to be okay, it has to be honesty, always." "I promise," I whisper. 6 months later, an envelope arrives. Heavy paper, elegant script. Mariage. Camille Dubois and David Thompson. Provence, olive groves, sunlight where no lies linger. I RSVP yes, with a hand that doesn't shake. Sometimes deception cracks the ground open. Sometimes what grows after is stronger.
The Provençal sky is the color of new porcelain, washed and bright. Sun lays itself over the hills in wide, lazy bands. Cicadas stitch sound into the heat. I step out of the taxi with my hat pinned down and my heart doing something unbecoming for a woman of 64. The venue sits on a ridge. Stone farmhouse, shutters the blue of a well-loved plate, olive trees patterned like careful handwriting trailing down the slope. Somewhere inside, my son is putting on a suit. Somewhere outside, the woman who had her name stolen is fastening earrings that catch the noon light. "Madame Thompson?" a young man asks, taking my bag. "The ceremony will begin by the grove." I follow the path through thyme and dust, and everything smells like a kitchen I haven't cooked in yet. At the end of the row, I see them. David in a navy suit that makes him look steadier than he feels. Camille in a gown the exact shade of cream that lives in old photo albums. No lace drama, no cathedral train, just silk that moves when she breathes. Ordinary and beautiful as truth. She sees me first. Her smile breaks across her face without rehearsal, without agenda. She crosses to me fast enough to make the skirt whisper. "You made it," she says, and the soft English lands like a benediction. "I wouldn't miss this," I say, and it is the easiest sentence I've spoken in a year. David reaches us, his tie slightly off-center, the way it always is. "Mom," he says, and then nothing else for a beat, because whatever we were holding between us has been heavy, and we are both tired of it. "I brought something," I tell him. I open the slim velvet box I swore I wouldn't open for anyone unworthy. The ring gleams. My grandmother's oval diamond in a setting that has outlived 2 wars and 1 great love. If she wants it, I add, because promises matter more than jewelry. Camille's hands rise and fall on a breath. "Is it proper?" she asks, looking between us. "After everything?" David smiles, small, a little crooked. "We make our own proper," he says. I take Camille's left hand. Her fingers are cool, steady. The ring slides home like it remembers. "Merci," she whispers. "Pour votre confiance." For your trust. "De rien," I say. "Gardez-le avec honnêteté." Keep it with honesty. Her eyes shine. Toujours. Always. The officiant, a friend from her hotel who smells faintly of citrus, gathers us among the olives. A dozen chairs. The real parents are here. Her father, with a good suit and the posture of a man who refuses to be bowed. Her mother in a silk headscarf, chemo softening the edges of her face, but not her gaze. When I reach them, we do not pretend the past didn't happen. We take each other's hands and hold on. Votre fille, because some things belong in their first language. Elle est brave. Your daughter is brave. Et votre fils, her mother answers, thumb warm against my knuckles. Il a appris. He has learned.
The ceremony is short. Vows that sound like they were written at a kitchen table next to a cooling tart. Promises that know the price of promises. No grand declarations. Just the kind of words that fit a life. Honesty, patience, listening, truth even when it is inconvenient. When the officiant asks for rings, David squeezes my hand before he takes Camille's. They kiss under an olive tree older than both of them, and someone cheers, and a breeze lifts the edge of her veil like a curtain going up. We move to long tables in the courtyard, strung with lights like small moons. Wine sweats in green bottles. Bread tears the way it's supposed to. A guitarist begins to pull gold out of nylon strings. Laughter finds the corners of the farmhouse and stays. At the second course, a tap on my shoulder. A woman in a pale suit, hair twisted into a knot that means business. I recognize the steadiness before the name. Agent Chen, I say. Sarah, she corrects, smiling. Off duty. French vacation. The trial wrapped last week. The table hums around us, but the two of us sit in a pocket of quiet. She slides a folded court document across to me beneath the linen. Plea, she says. 18 months, restitution ordered. We'll never see all of it, but some men will breathe easier. And the network? She pulled more thread, she says, a glint in her eye that doesn't apologize. Names fell. Not enough, never enough, but some. And the real Camille? I ask, though I am watching her laugh at something David has said, head thrown back, throat open to joy. She's clear, Sarah says. Record amended, embassy notes corrected. No more knocks on her door asking about a life she never lived. A bird lifts from the stone wall and skims the olives. I fold the paper and slide it into my bag. Thank you. I should thank you, Sarah says. And for a flash, we are both back in my dining room with carols and a red dress and a lie detonating. Most people don't call when the story still looks pretty. It didn't. Not up close. She squeezes my shoulder and drifts away into the music. Toasts come, her father rises first, voice quiet, words chosen like good fruit. He talks about daughters who inherit spines along with smiles, about the strange mercy of strangers, about a mother who kept tending roses while the chemo took its tithes. I stand when it is my turn, glass in my hand, the diamond throwing small stars on the table. I have not always been brave in the right direction, I begin, and a murmur goes through the guests, English and French passing the meaning hand to hand. I have been protective when I should have been honest. I have been silent when I should have risked being disliked. My son taught me that love isn't rescue. It's respect. I turn to Camille. You had your name stolen, and you still offered us your real one. That is a kind of courage I am still learning. Thank you for choosing us, deliberately, without fantasy, with clear eyes. I raise my glass. To a life made of unglamorous, daily truth, to apologies that arrive before the wound finishes healing, to the kind of love that doesn't need a performance. When I sit, David leans and kisses my cheek, quick, 4-word warm. Thank you, Mom.
Later, as lavender bruises the sky and the guitarist slides into something older, David and Camille dance by the well. It isn't graceful. It's better. They talk while they move, heads bent, hands shore. The ring flashes, the veil catches on his shoe. They laugh and untangle together. I wandered to the edge of the grove. The olives drink the last of the light. Footsteps sound behind me. David. Are you okay, he asks. I am, I say. Are you? He looks back at the tables. Her mother's scarf, her father's careful listening, his bride with olive leaves in her hair. Yeah, he says, but not because it's perfect. No, I say, because it's real. We stand in that small truth for a while. Crickets start their shift. Someone claps at the far table. The sky turns the precise color of the silk that wrapped my ring once upon a time. I blamed you, he says finally. Not accusing, only cataloging. For not telling me fast enough. For telling me at all. You were right, I say, on both counts. He smiles, and I was wrong, on at least one. You didn't ruin love for me. I was afraid I had, I admit. He tilts his head toward the courtyard. Turns out love's sturdier than my pride. Thank God, I say, because I mean it. Back under the lights, her mother reaches for my hand. We walk arm in arm to the dessert table, where tarts shine like lacquer. She taps the ring with a fingertip, admiring. C'est bien. Ancien. Solide. Old. Solid. Comme nous, I answer, and we laugh like women who know about walls falling and being built again better. As the night folds, small things keep happening that will make the larger things possible. Her father and David discuss taxes and visas without anyone flinching. Camille's colleagues take pictures that look like life, rather than advertisements. Sarah Chen dances with a man who orders his verbs correctly. I promise to send recipes and mean it. We are all, in our ways, making honest work of the future. When the last song lingers, David and Camille disappear for a minute and return with a small envelope. David presses it into my palm. Open it, he says. Inside, a photograph printed on thick paper. The coffee shop table where Christina once performed being a person. The same table where David and the real Camille sat months later, not pretending. In the picture, their hands rest on the scarred wood, not touching, not yet. Between them sits a cup of coffee and a folded napkin with 2 words written in the same ink. Start here. Framed for your kitchen, he says. So we remember where it actually began. I hold the photograph and feel something in me click into place, like a drawer closing correctly for the first time in years. When the officiant arrives to take them away, toward their first night, I kiss each of them twice, French enough to get it right, American enough not to apologize for the tears. On the drive back to my hotel, the road unwinds between lavender fields gone dark. I lower the window. Night air moves through the car, warm and clean. The stars above Provence look like nails hammered into a velvet sky, holding it all up somehow. I think of Christmas Eve and broken porcelain. I think of a badge pulled from a purse and a voice shedding an accent like a skin. I think of a girl at an airport with a borrowed life and the courage to claim her own. I think of a ring that almost became a prop and decided instead to be a promise again. Some stories end with a door closing. Ours ends with a table laid under olive trees and a photograph that says, "Start here."